My name is James Rayburn.
James Rayburn, and the director, Deedle, Lacour.
Hey there. And we have Karen Capitosto, our producer, who's actually like manning our merch table, so she's awesome too. And then Matt Riggle, our writer and co-director, is not here, and Justin Wilson, the other filmmaker, he's our DP and one of our editors.
We really appreciate SimFest helping us get this thing here. I know there's some people here who are probably pretty pissed at us for taking so long, but it's been a long journey for us, about 3 years, and we're close to getting it out there to the masses, but we've been having to do these kind of limited engagement screenings right now, but we're getting everything squared away. So
I got into All First in early 90s, early to mid 90s, and I just, I was a kid in the 80s that listened to Michael Jackson and pop music, and then I got into whatever, Nirvana or metal, whatever led me to punk. It was, just, I guess, alternative rock radio or whatever, and then eventually punk rock was like the thing that became my music, I guess. Wasn't my sister's music or my dad's music, which was AC/DC.
You say how many songs are in the movie?
137. I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe repeats. I know because I've been dealing with the licensing for about a year. 2014 for sure, as early as possible, probably
Mid-year.
Yeah.
Great job, you guys. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Right here. Oh, awesome.
Sweet.
Wait.
Someone's name we didn't misspell, hopefully.
Is your last name O'Brien? Joe O'Brien.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'll explain, we set up a website, a couple of years ago where it had fans and people upload, and we got a lot of great stuff that way, so thank you.
Yeah,
And
to all the
who did that.
O'Briens
and
out
all the
there.
other fans out there. Yeah, that's how we got a lot of great stuff. Yeah, and some of us do. James plays the French horn.
Last time I played the French horn, I was like 12. So no.
There's two other filmmakers that aren't here, Justin Wilson and Matt Riggle. Matt Riggle's the co-director and writer of the film. Matt and I played in a band together for years called 41 Gorgeous Blocks, and we recorded with Stefan years ago. That's how we kind of got in with the band. So yeah, we're punk rock guys, big fans, and and then Justin, our DP and our co-editor with James. James is our lead editor on this thing. Justin's a music guy, so we come from that background for sure.
They have a ton of songs that are very hard hitting. That particular one was just sort of like a peek into Bill's brain, into his sort of a personal side about his dad that he does. They've never played that song live. It just sort of helped tell the story of Bill, which is kind of what we were focusing on in the film.
And I think, that story hit me and Matt big, because when we heard that story when we were in the studio with Stefan, and Stefan explained when Bill showed them how to play that song, Bill was in the practice room, he would start to play the song and then he would start crying and run out of the room, when he was teaching them how to play the song. And so, for Bill, that's why they've never played it live. It's such an intense song for Bill personally, and it's certainly one of my favorite songs on "Cool to Be You." So I think that's why it just kind of led that section. That whole section also played into that song "The Egg Timer," which is an all song. Kind of explains a little bit more about that, but they got a little too deep into the lyrics and mind of Bill, so.
Yeah, I don't think we were trying to focus on One More Day so much as, sort of just touching on why so much of Bill's character traits sort of came from his upbringing and, his drive coming from that sort of uncomfortable and sometimes painful relationship he had with his father. The question was Bill's illness like a catalyst to do the film?
It was a catalyst to get going on it, for sure, yeah. It just so happened that by the time Bill got well, it was around the time they started coming back and doing shows, and it all kind of worked out timing-wise?
Me and Matt go pretty far back with Stefan, so Stefan like really trusted us. We became friends with him over years, but it took a long time to get Bill on board. Just you can imagine. But we just with Bill, it's a persistence thing. Bill, that's how everybody got into the Descendents orbit, I guess. Even Chris Sherry, their artist, he just kept drawing stuff and giving it to Bill, and kept showing up. And so that's kind of what we did. We just kept showing up with cameras at their shows and everywhere. And Bill, you know, he'd give us that look, you know. And
Yeah, that moment in the film where Bill's like, "You're not fucking filming me, are you?" And the camera shakes. That's literally Deedle's hand, terrified of Bill. He's like, "Oh my god."
But I mean, the other guys are. I mean, Carl will talk to. I'm sure a lot of people here are fans who talk to Carl after a show. Carl will talk anybody's head off, and you know, Tony was very. Didn't you know? It took a long time to get Tony to do an interview, and Tony even now he's still very reserved, and he's still got his not issues, but just his regrets, I guess. And you know, Ray Cooper, we get asked that a lot. Ray Cooper declined to do any interview. I don't know him at all, but he kind of started. He came to some shows and stuff with the guys, I think, when they played here at Riot Fest and stuff, and everybody was stoked to see him. And he kind of came out of under his rock or whatever. You know, he's a real private guy, which I'm a very private guy at times. So I understand that.
How much is the hot dog at Wiener Schnitzel?
What?
How much is the hot dog at Wiener Schnitzel?
Probably still 99 cents, I bet. Most people are like, would totally jumped on board on this thing because it's the Descendents, you know. So some people were very hard to get. Dave Grohl took forever. I mean, over a year to get that. And at the end of the day, like after I went through every official route, basically Bill's like, well, I'll just send him a text and see if the bill. And that's how that went. But like, I had to reserve my Bill time. I can't just have Bill do everything because Bill, he's got too much stuff going on, and so.
You know, we showed all of them in slightly different intervals, but like basically we kind of had our big premiere for Collins where Bill saw it, and that was kind of our, you know, like Stefan had already seen it, he loved it. Carl had seen a form of it and enjoyed it, but you know, Bill was really the brain that we dissected the most. So we were, you know, like, all right, like, I mean, I know he told us all this stuff, this real personal item, you know, stuff, but he was great. He really loved it. He appreciated it. He was very Bill-like. He doesn't see Descendants as Bill and three other guys like a lot of people see the band. He thinks he's just another person in the band. So he wasn't as comfortable seeing himself playing such a central role in the film, but he understands that a lot of people see the band that way. So.
And I think Bill really didn't have anything to do with the film as far as influence on it. I mean, he just let us invade his world, you know, for 3 years, and he gave us access to his archives and all his videos and photos, but he did not tell us to do anything or tell us to leave anything out. He kind of stayed hands off, and so I think he wanted people to know that. You know, I think he was worried that people would think that he like commissioned this or something.
Commissioned the Bill film.
And I mean, that was one of my biggest drives. You know, Matt's side of the film, Matt really wanted to get into the inner stuff with Bill and songwriting and kind of all that, but I wanted to tell that bigger story, kind of their legacy, and I hope that this begins to tell that. I mean, to me, they're one of those bands that's like the Ramones, you know, they are iconic and influential, and they'll kind of always be there, you know, and I mean, I know it's kind of their niche thing, but, and I know like the whole they created pop punk thing is an overstatement, you know, because of all the Ramones and the Buzzcocks and those things, but they're the band that I think connected with so many other young kids and teenagers and whatnot, and influenced so many bands. And, well, I know a lot of us hate those bands, but but I hope that comes across in the film. I mean, you know, we tried to get some of those heavy hitters in there, Dave Grohl, and I know Mark Hoppus is, you know, a lot of people hate Blink-182. Mark Hoppus is an incredible guy, and I like Blink-182, but you know, I'll wear it. But, and you know, of course, we would have loved to have gotten Green Day, because I know Green Day's the other band that is always put in that whole argument category or whatever, but we just couldn't get that one.
Their original drawings done when we released one of our trailers, you know, I think it was our second trailer, teaser trailer to promote the film. A group that had reached out to us from Belgium. They'd done a lot of animation before, and they'd done some for some other punk rock bands, done like full music videos, and it just worked perfectly. I mean, it helped us tell stories that we didn't have footage for. Like, you know, you don't always have footage of Bill shoving his ass to a microphone, so sometimes you have to draw that. But
it's in the spirit of the band, though.
It is. It's in the spirit of and even the drawings themselves. You know, I mean, so much of the artwork is just another thing everyone loves about the Descendents, and that the animation that they brought to the film was just totally in the spirit of the band, and it fit perfectly.
Fitted perfectly.
And I will say, the Bill told us after the Fort Collins screening the story of the all story of how they came up with that concept on the boat with Pat like pulling in all the fish till they almost sunk it. Bill told us after that, he's like, I've told that story to so many people over the years, and he's like, that illustration is the best depiction. He's like, I can't tell it that good. He's like, that is exactly how it was. That crazy look on Pat's face. So, there you have it.
About my insight, I have a recording background. I got to record, I had to teach Milo how to use Pro Tools, and I got to record Milo's new demos for the new album. So I've heard the new Milo songs. It's happening.
And he has footage of it.
I have footage of it. And I'll just say this, there will be an insane amount of bonus material. We have so much stuff, and you'll see some of that. Milo demos.
This film was twice as long at one point, so you're welcome.
And Milo, I gotta tell you, Milo's the biggest freaking dork. That's all. I think the four of us all kind of come from editing backgrounds. James and I and Justin, our DP, all work at a post-production place in Dallas. And then Matt worked in news production and documentary stuff, and he's in Philadelphia now. Matt's more of has a writing background, and so that's why he kind of led. He's the writer of the film and led that. But a bunch of editors basically, and Justin and I and Matt are all musicians. You know, so we love the band, huge fans, and you know we're kind of in that generation gap where we weren't there for the old days, but we're not like super young either. You know, we kind of got into the Descendents, you know, in the early '90s and really all. You know, me and Matt both got into all first, and so it's yeah. That's, out of my pocket, out of James's pocket, out of Matt's pocket, out of Justin's pocket.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question because I was going to tell you we paid for it out of our pockets, but we are welcoming your support at the merch table.
Yeah, we have T-shirts and posters that are helping us pay all of our debts.
Put my kid,
it's
food on her table.
Because it was stretched out over a couple of years. We were able to, travel to this, travel to that, and I mean, we have a pretty streamlined little crew. I mean. James is the editor, but he's also our audio guy on the interviews, and Justin's running 2 cameras. Matt and I, and all of us run cameras at the shows, and it's a lot of multitasking, wearing lots of hats, and a lot of volunteers. A lot of people submitted stuff. I mean, we have hundreds of fans submit stuff to a website, and there's a lot of photographers.
Send us tapes.
There's even people. I mean, there's a photographer here. Is Stacia here?
Maybe next hour.
Well, there's a Chicago photographer. We found one of her photos. I don't know if it came from Bill's collection or what, but lots of stuff from all over the place.
I mean, what can I say? It's been very hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
This is a lot better than the previous 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Finally getting to show it.